Welcome back to the Vintage and Stuff podcast with your host, Drew Heifetz. That's me. How'd you guys like that intro? Did that work for you? Was that a good announcer voice? Well, I've been working on it. Today I have Cody, 416 Single Stitch, the man voted as the voice of the vintage community. He, along with his wife Giselle, sold everything, decided not to settle down and buy a house, but to travel the world. Somehow they ended up in Thailand and eventually started making a life for themselves there, buying and selling vintage and establishing themselves in this wild world of vintage. We get into that. We get into the whole story. We get into the deep, dark underbelly of the vintage community in Southeast Asia, how it works, where the vintage comes from, the whole ins and outs. It's a really great episode. Big time different take on the vintage scene than anybody we've ever had on the show. So I really think you guys will enjoy it. Don't want to bore you anymore. Let's just jump in.
Vintage clothing by the rack. Yeah. Just check out my Insta, how you gon' argue with that? Everything you see I manifest. I'm an architect, I think I'ma run it back. We got vintage clothing by the rack. Just check out my Insta, how you gon' argue with that? Everything you see I manifest. I'm an architect, I think I'll have some of that.
All right, Cody, welcome to the show. 416
What's up?
Single Stitch. It's great to have you, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I mean, I've been watching you for a while, so it's been nice to get asked and to finally come on to one of these.
Yeah, I had you on the list for quite some time now, and sometimes like I reach out to people and then it's like gets lost in the shuffle, but I'm glad we can make it happen here.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've got, I know you from back in the days of when I was doing lives, and we kind of got to know each other a little bit through the lives. I don't really know you that well, to be straight, but you are a fellow Canuck.
Yes, fellow Canadian from the 306
currently,
from Saskatchewan.
306 from Saskatchewan. So what's the 416 then? That's
Well,
like where you left Canada?
no, yeah, that's Mississauga area code. So from
Yeah.
Toronto, Ontario. So that was the last area code. So that's how I came up with the 416 single stitch, which one of my buddies actually started 306 single stitch, and we were going to collab with each other, but he just got too annoyed with like people sending lowball offers. He just deleted his account. He's like, I don't have time for this.
416 was actually my area code growing up, so I'm very, very familiar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was from Niagara-on-the-Lake, so we had 416. That
Yeah,
was back before cell phones, so I can still remember my childhood phone number, which I don't know if kids these days will remember their childhood phone numbers.
that's crazy. 306-425-2970. That's my original phone number. I don't know how
Yeah.
you remember that stuff.
I'm 416-7728. That's how it went.
Yeah, I don't know how you remember that stuff all the time.
All right, so let me finish this intro. You're currently living in Thailand. You've been there for quite some time. You're
Yes.
dealing in vintage clothing, of course. I want to dive into that a lot, specifically t-shirts. You are a frequenter of the lives. Probably started like all of us through the COVID times, I'm imagining, but you can fill us in on that. You recently were voted Voice of the Community on the Vintage Awards that happened the other night. So, yeah, I think that's a fun topic. But also, you do come highly regarded as just a stand-up human being from your friends.
Nice. I appreciate that.
So, yeah, I think not one of them that I spoke to said otherwise, and they all made a big point of saying that you have a high moral standing. You are a very good human. You're great to deal with. Nothing feels too much business with you. It all feels more friendship. And that probably plays into why you're voted Voice of the Community, because people like you. So welcome to the show, and I'm stoked to dive into it.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right, so I got to kick it off with a question about a live you did. So I want to know how much you got paid to drink your own pee.
How did I know that was going to come up? How did I know? Um, Honestly, man, I think it was like $35, but that's so everybody that knows me knows that I don't take this very serious. This is my full-time job. I do not take it very serious, right? So one time Astral Creep Cody was on the live with us, and I was just like, "Yo, somebody donate money, I'll drink my pee." And he was like, "Yo, somebody donate money, and I'll drink these or eat these Carolina Reapers." Um, and I haven't lived that one down. Like everybody is literally like, I got so many messages that went from like Mr. Piss Drinker to Voice of Vintage. Congratulations. I'm like, yeah, thanks.
That's great. Well, they say it's like, it's a health trend or some sort of superfood or something or other. So,
Yeah,
well,
and
$35. There you go.
well, the thing too, Drew, is like I drink a lot of water. Being out here in Thailand, you drink tons of water because it's so hot. So I was just literally drinking warm water. So I got paid $35 to drink warm water. That's a win in my eyes. No big deal. Like,
Nice. So let's talk about the voice of the vintage community. Your homies were, I don't know if they're actually your homies, but I'm sure they're friends of yours in some capacity. Um, they had the Vintage Awards, and you got voted voice of the vintage community. So this obviously speaks to your standing within the tight knit community of, like, say, t-shirt enthusiasts more so.
yeah, I would say so. When I said the whole time, like I don't want that. I don't want to be. Please do not vote for me in that category because I think I take it a different way. Like the voice of vintage is like you put somebody up on a pedestal and you're just like, yo, this is the person. And I'm like, I'm not that person. I think that is silly. I think putting people up on a pedestal in that way is kind of silly because we just sell t-shirts. But then somebody explained it to me. It's like, no, dude, like people are interested in what you're saying. They like what you're doing. You're traveling the world. People like seeing that and showing different cultures. So like somebody explained it to me that way. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I can, I guess it's like an influencer, right? I accept that. That's cool
Yeah, totally. Yeah, someone else had said that you don't like being called the goat, but the crew often calls you the goat.
I know who said that. I know who said that. Yeah, like once again, man, I think that stuff is silly because for me, this is just, I mean, it started out like a fun hobby like long time ago, right? And then
Yeah.
when COVID hit, everybody's like, yo, we can start selling online and making money and people are going crazy. Um, so to like once again to put somebody up on a pedestal like yo you're the greatest and I just think I sell t-shirts, man. That's it. I just sell t-shirts. Like I'm not out there like feeding the homeless or curing AIDS or anything. You're just selling t-shirts. Like
Yeah. All right.
relax,
Well,
relax,
it's good
guys.
you have a level head about it. So yeah, like when we talk about this, like it, I like your humbleness, but obviously, like, you did get voted. So there's enough people out there that really do appreciate what you're doing. It obviously shows. And when you look at that, like when you're like, okay, these guys think it's cool that I'm traveling the world, you're showing a different side of the business because, like, there becomes like this stagnant staleness to sort of like the t-shirt business. I guess speaking from personally, because like a lot of the
Yeah,
people are the same. It's like very similar stories, but your story is very different, right?
yeah, it's completely different. So like for Giselle and I mean, back in 2011, we were supposed to buy a house in Toronto. Some things fell through, so I just went, and Giselle's my wife. So I just went to her and I said, "Hey, let's just take this money and travel the world. Let's just do that." And we decided on doing like 16 months, and 16 months is now turned into today's date, where it's just like it's been pretty much nonstop since 2012. We started in Egypt, went through India, Southeast Asia, basically everywhere. And
Wow.
the way everything started, I mean, like I've been collecting vintage since I was a kid, right? I grew up poor. like a lot of people, and we would have to go to Value Village, Savers, all the vintage shops and buy our clothing. So that's where we were getting our Guns N' Roses t-shirts, our Metallica, Nirvana. Um, and then in high school, I would just start collecting. I just started collecting everything. But the way all this comes into play is uh, probably about 6 years ago, I entered a vintage shop here in Thailand, and I remember looking at a Whitney Houston shirt on the wall, and I was like, "Hey, how much is that T-shirt?" And he told me 7,000 baht, which is the equivalent of $300. And I was blown away. Like this was a whole new world for me. I was like, "What? Like, how about that Guns N' Roses shirt?" He's like, "Oh, that's $400." It's like, dude, I have that shirt at home. Like, what is this guy's crazy? So I remember like diving a little bit deeper into it. From then on, I was just like, oh shit, man, like this stuff's worth a lot of money. Because for me, I was just collecting for the longest time,
Yeah,
right? Not
totally.
really thinking about moving stuff. So then it got to a point where I was just like, oh, okay, let's. I had a friend say, oh, you should just showcase some of your stuff up online. Like, start an Instagram page just showcasing the shirts you have. So I started doing that. And I remember like the second shirt I put up, I forget what it was. It might have been like a Cranberries t-shirt, and somebody instantly wrote me like, "Yo, what do you want on that?" And I was like, "I don't know, $200." They're like, "Okay, cool. What's your PayPal?" Like, "Oh, this is real. Like this is serious." So that's kind of how everything started for me doing this whole vintage thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to kind of touch more on your big life changing moment there of leaving Canada. Like I think that's more than you kind of breeze by that, but that's such a big
It just like downplayed
um,
it.
decision. Yeah, like that's such a huge decision for you and your wife. How how was that for you? Because I think about it in terms of me. I'm like, fuck, like I'd love to do that, and I'm jealous of that, and I I still want to travel the world and all these things, and so many of us like probably don't do it, but you did it. You took the money, you traveled the world, and you're still doing it. You know, so yeah, talk more about like how that experience was for you, and like after that first initial 18 months, like how did you what was what was your job? Did you leave a job at this time? Like, and then
Yeah,
how did
I
after
yeah.
the 18 months? Like, how did you keep going?
So basically, what happened is back in the day of like travel blogging, like, Giselle and I started a travel blog. And that was like when we first took off, it was like, okay, let's just start this travel blog. I was working construction, and Giselle was a bartender. So it's two jobs that you can easily just like up and leave and come back to at any
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Um,
totally.
so, the whole thing is like, it was just one of those things where we decided, hey, let's sell everything we own. I mean, we're not getting this house in Toronto. And, we did travel. Like our honeymoon is like we backpacked Africa. We went to Egypt, Jordan, Kenya, Tanzania, Zanzibar, just backpacked. That was our honeymoon. And
Nice.
it was such a huge influence on me, just seeing different cultures, seeing different people, trying different food, and just seeing the world, that when that opportunity came up, or we created that opportunity, just like, hey, let's just ditch and let's just go travel. Because we also thought like it would be great to own a house, because that's the next stage of our life. You own a house, and you work and pay it off. But then I said something to Giselle. I said, if we get this house, we're going to Cuba once a year. That's our travels, because we're so tied into this. And she's like, yeah, you're right, man. Like we're pretty much tied down for the rest of our lives until we pay off this house. So it was kind of like a no-brainer. Both of us love to travel. She traveled way more before we actually met. Um, and so it was scary, Drew, like to quit your job and be like, hey, I'm giving you my notice. And they're like, oh, really? How come? Well, because I'm going to go travel the world. Okay, well, we can save the job for you. How long are you gone for? I was like, I'm going to be gone for like 16 to 18 months. And they're like, yeah, we can't save that job for you. So to
Yeah,
leave that,
totally.
and to have coworkers being like, what are you going to do? And be like, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. We're just going to head out and hit the road. And so one of the things is like, when we came to Thailand, we actually went to an elephant sanctuary here, and it was just a 1 week trip, very ethical elephant sanctuary. And there was a baby elephant born while we were there, and we got asked to take care of this baby elephant. So it would entail like staying up all hours of the night, having a towel and like slapping the elephant like it was its mother's tail. And when the elephant's about to fall asleep, we would have to catch it and lay it down. This is a like 4 day baby elephant, and I'm 200 pounds, and I would try to stop it, and it's pushing me, like just pushing me. I'm like, because you're supposed to play with it, right? So
Yeah.
our week was up, and we left, and we went to the country of Laos, and we got a message saying, hey, the owner of this elephant sanctuary wants to know if you guys want to come back and be full time here. And we're like, holy shit, okay. So yeah, we did that, and we were there for like 6 or 7 months, taking care of elephants, taking care of dogs, doing a lot of undercover work for other ethical elephant sanctuaries out here. They sent us around to kind of get like the dirt on what other people are doing.
Oh, so
So
you
that
were
was really,
working for one that was like a rehab, like really good one, and they wanted to like send you in
yeah,
undercover? No
yeah.
way.
So like, so there was like, so at this place they don't offer riding because riding is really bad for elephants' backs. So they would send us to like all over Thailand, and we'd have to go watch these elephant shows and like go behind the scenes and like see these like really sick elephants and just everything that's going on there. And then we would, report back to the owner and give them all this footage and show them all this footage and everything. Like, okay, cool, you guys have a week off. Next week I'm sending you to Pattaya in Thailand, and you're gonna go to this place, and this place. And it's draining. Like it's really taxing on somebody to see this constant abuse all the time. You're just like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. So that's how we stayed long term in Thailand. But to
Yeah.
touch base back on the blog thing, we just started a blog out here, and it became fairly popular. And that's what also funded a lot of travels. Like we didn't get paid for it, but we stayed in some of the nicest hotels around the world for free because we'd write blogs about it. We did everything was paid for a 6 month travel around the world. Like the guy just paid
Sick.
anything we wanted. We just wrote blogs, did videos, created video content, gone to Japan, hot air balloon rides. Like, yeah, it was pretty amazing, man. It was a fun time.
That's epic. So, I want to know now. So eventually you settled and you're in Thailand, but you still do travel around. You still take the
Yes.
opportunity to go travel around Asia and wherever else.
Yeah.
Awesome. So one of the first things that I'm interested in, I think the listeners would be interested in, is uh, what does it cost you to live? What's a month cost you now in Thailand to live?
Um, so it's very inexpensive. We have a 3 bedroom house, 1 story, 3 bedroom house with a decent yard and everything, and it is around 400 Canadian dollars a month. Um,
Okay.
our water bill is $4 a month. Our electricity is about $30 a month. The internet, we have a year long package, and that was like $100 for the year, and it's
Jeez.
like really top notch Wi-Fi. We rent a scooter, gas for the scooter, gross. I mean, like today we're going to the market, and we'll be lucky if we can spend over $20 for like 2 weeks of groceries.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very inexpensive.
Yeah. So a couple points I love there. Well, obviously I think that's fucking great, because it also affords you a life where like you don't have to grind like somebody here to like live very
Yes,
well, right? Which I think is
yes,
is a beautiful thing because I think we're in North America so deep in the rat race that it's like it's fucking taxing and it's
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 hard,
hard.
man.
Anybody listening, anybody out there can relate to this, especially now with the way inflation has gone crazy. And when I think about like what you did, lift your life up and go, it's inspiring. I think about it more now than I ever did because like I'm feeling the crunch of inflation and like economic
Yes,
times, whatever the fuck you want to call it, like more than
yeah.
ever, right? And I can imagine if I'm feeling it, everybody out there is feeling it. Cost of living here is like 30% more.
Oh, it's
So it
insane.
used to be like I was making a great living and I probably could travel a lot without too much worry on my pocketbook. But now it's like, fuck, I do well for myself, and I still have to like crunch these numbers. And so I feel like there's probably a lot of people, especially now, looking at like getting like picking up and going, man, because it's not becoming worth it anymore here.
No, it really isn't. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, because what we'll do is we spend about 12 to 14 months in Thailand, and then we come back to Canada for 5 months, and then we come back 12 to 14. And that's basically our life, right? It's back and forth.
Okay.
And when we're in Canada, like we'll be in Canada for 5 months, but hey, let's go to Mexico for a month, or let's go to Portugal for 2 weeks. But the thing is, it's like when I get back to Canada and I see how much fruit is and how much veggies are, I'm just like, how is anybody affording this? Like you go to the grocery store and it's like you have one bag and you're like, wow, that was $100. That's $100.
Yeah,
Like that,
totally.
it's just it's mind
So
blowing.
why do you guys come back? Just to see family? And
Yeah, just we come back because we can't. I mean, we can now because we have a different visa, but before we couldn't be here full time. Like just continuing to renew this visa and just staying here. So we would come back, see friends, see family. I mean, we both love our family, we love our friends. So, being out here, not everybody gets a chance to come and visit us. So for us, we can just fly back home, stay with our parents, stay with friends, hang out, always make a trip to Saskatchewan because my brother's still out there and I still got good friends out there. So we'll go do that. But yeah, I think I would always still want to come back to Canada for that brief time just to see people.
yeah, fair enough. Okay, quick intermission here to let you know that you are listening to the free 45-minute version of the podcast. Every episode is actually a full 2 hours long. The rest of the 2 hours is available if you join the YouTube channel right here. I think it costs you $6. Or what you really want to do is join the Patreon, link down below. You get a 1 week free trial, then it's only $5 per month. Is $5 a month worth it for you to educate yourself and learn how to sell vintage? I have hundreds of episodes, and guess what? All of them are valuable. They all help you learn about the vintage scene. They all help you make more money. If you're not interested in making more money, they are also all very entertaining. So what you want to do is go jump on the Patreon, link down below in the show notes. Get your 1 week free trial. Then it's just $5 a month. Helps me keep this podcast going. Helps me pay my editor. Helps me pay my subscriptions. All that crap. So thank you guys for supporting. Jump on the Patreon. Back to the episode. All right, let's jump into some vintage talk here. So I know Thailand. Thailand has always been on the map. Thailand has been on the map since early days, right? And it was on the map differently. It was on the map like you sold a shirt on eBay to Thailand, and you're always like, fuck, another Thailand order, Thailand order.
Yeah.
And like it was the big money. And this is actually something I just thought of when I was like prepping for this talk, was that before everybody knew there was $1,000 shirts out there, before this vintage t-shirt craze really happened, there was $1,000 t-shirts out there.
Of course.
They were mostly
Yes.
3D fucking emblems, and they were mostly
Oh my
going to
God.
Thailand, right? So it's like they were on these $1,000 shirts way before we were in North America. And it's sort of a mystery, and I kind of want you to speak on it. Like, what do you know about that? Because I know that they were looking for 3D emblems, and they were looking for tri-blends, and they were looking for the camel shirt, which was a tri-blend. They were looking for like a very specific little grouping of shirts. But speak on that.
So the thing is, just like the Japanese culture, right? Americana is huge around the world. It really is. People love the Chuck Taylors, Levi's, just they love that look, that old, even the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, those looks are big and iconic around the world. Like they really are. So out here, people eat that stuff up. Like when you're talking about $1,000 t-shirts, so right now, Drew, there are 3D emblem shirts that are $3,500. $3,500. One of my really good friends and really good connection in Bangkok is like, hey, Cody, if you can find these, I can get you $3,000 for these. I'm like, what? And it's just like, there's that one 3D emblem with the pig, and it's like or
Yeah.
a hog riding a Harley that sold out here for 2K recently. Um,
Yeah.
because the thing is, like, there are major collectors out here. Like the collections, like I love seeing like these North American connections, and I'm not or collections, and I'm not shitting on anybody, but the
Of course.
collections out here are so over the top and ridiculous. Um, because if you have enough connections out here, you can find these shirts for fairly cheap. But then there's always that one shirt. I don't have that mosquito head, or I don't have that fifth column. So I'll pay $6,000 for that T-shirt. So I have the entire wall. There's guys I know out here who, well, actually, one girl from the South, um, her collection is unreal. Like, and I know a lot of people shit on these collections because they're like, why do you need that many? Why do you have to have it? And it's like, well, because I can and because I want to.
Yeah.
Like this girl will make these posts of like 90 different mosquito heads and 90 different rap tees, 90 fifth column shirts, 90 Nirvana t-shirts. And
Wow.
it's ridiculous, man. And another guy, 30 heart-shaped boxes. He just posted a photo of a wall of 30 heart-shaped boxes. And it's like, it's mind-blowing. But Americana is so huge around the world that, well, when we were still dealing and digging in t-shirts and finding, stuff on the racks, and it's like, oh, sweet, I found this Guns N' Roses shirt, $25. Guys out here are like, well, I'll just give you $400 for that right now. There's so much money out here when it comes to vintage that I don't even understand it. Like, and
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a while.
That kind of it's super intriguing, right? It's very intriguing because you're talking about this woman, and you're telling me about the collection. It's not even specific. It's like she just has like all the best shit. It sounds like in
Everything.
hordes, right? Yeah.
Everything.
Like, so it kind of begs the question, like, why is there that much money out there for this? Like, who are these people? Where's the money coming from? Like, why are there is because when I think of Thailand, maybe this is like naive, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's like you're living for super cheap. There's like, I wouldn't say it's like an impoverished country, but it's definitely like a lot of people don't make a lot of money, right? But then there's like this extra level of wealth in some areas where they're spending on these shirts, and you're like, it's a big fucking gap. So, yeah, like, do you have any insight into that? Like, who these people are? Where's the money coming from?
So the just to touch base on like what you said about Thailand, the funny thing is, like, everybody thinks Thailand is like that. Like, this guy John Doe Retro, who just came out here, he won the raffle that I threw for a free trip to Thailand. He came out and he was like, I wasn't expecting it to be like this. Like, Bangkok is like Toronto. Chiang Mai is like, it's like Canada out here, right? It really is. But everybody thinks like we're all just living on huts on the river, right? Because I hear a lot of people saying that. They're like, oh shit, dude, like I didn't think Bangkok was going to be like that. But the funny thing is, like, these people who collect all these t-shirts. So one guy I know has like 3 huge businesses here, and his vice is t-shirts. So he just dumps tons of money on t-shirts. And the other thing too is, like, when you're so well connected here, like the woman is, everybody knows who she is. So guys might find a free James Brown mosquito head shirt, and they hit her up and they're like, hey, I'll sell this to you for $200. And for her, it's like, okay, well, that's like $1,000+ t-shirt. Yeah, I'll just grab that off you, because she has so much, and I'm sure she moves a little bit here and there to also just fund her buying habits, right? Yeah. But the really interesting thing out here is a lot of guys, everything just gets recycled. You might have this guy with this t-shirt, and he might be like, oh, dude, I'm a little bit behind on rent. I'll sell you this t-shirt so I can pay my rent. And then this buddy's like, well, I'm doing really well this month. Yeah, I'll buy that shirt off you and help you pay your rent. And then he's like, oh man, you're looking for this t-shirt. Well, I need to pay my phone bill or whatever, so I'll sell you this shirt. So that's a really cool thing about what I find, like, the actual quote unquote community out here, is that it very is much like a community where everybody is helping each other out. And then you have this top tier of collectors, which might be celebrities. one of the guys that I sell to, he is an owner of like 5 or 6 car dealerships out here. So he's doing very well. So he also
Yeah.
helps out a lot of these other lower sellers, and that's how most of these people are here. Like most of the guys who are selling here, the women who are selling here, you have this top tier, and once you can get to that top tier, like selling to them, it's game over because then you're pretty much set. But all this top tier is celebrities, people who own businesses, people who just have money, who come from money.
Yeah. I mean, not dissimilar to here too. It's like we all aim to sell to the celebrities that pay the highest dollar value, and you know, oftentimes we're selling an auction on a live or fucking eBay, whatever we got to do.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's interesting. So yes, I obviously was naive to that. I've never been to Thailand. My experience in Asia has been Japan. I've done a couple trips to Bali for surfing,
yeah.
which I know like Jakarta has a pretty big scene as well. But
Massive, massive.
Bali is just like a tourist town, so it's not really like, or a tourist area. It's not really like that kind of vibe. But and yeah, and I know like Malaysia also has a scene, right? Then you have even the
Giant.
Philippines now is like busting pretty hard in the vintage scene.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess something where my head goes to, which is not really vintage related. It's so interesting because you're like Bangkok's like China. I'm sorry, Bangkok's like Canada, right? You're like
Yeah.
Bangkok's like Canada or
Like
Toronto. Yeah, but then you're like, but people still can afford to live cheaply, right?
Yeah.
Which, why can't it be like that here? Like, how can their economy run in a way where like there's the money's there, but yet if you want to live affordably or cheaply, you can, right? But yet
Yeah.
there's people that obviously like live in penthouse, beautiful skyrise fucking apartments and eat at Michelin star restaurants. But also there's the other side where you can afford to live cheaply. Like, why can't it be more like that here?
No,
I don't know if
I
you have the
agree.
answer.
I don't have the answer for that, but I mean, it is very interesting to see because I'm pretty sure it is Thailand. Don't quote me on this, guys, but I'm pretty sure it is Thailand that has the largest wage gap in the world, right? From the
Oh, no
rich to the
shit.
poor. I think it is one of the largest. So you have people. So one of my really good friends here, his name is Fong, amazing kid, right? I met him a couple of years ago. He's just a wonderful kid, and he just lives in a 1 bedroom apartment. It's just one big bedroom with a bathroom. So like
Yeah.
when we first came here, like we built a house and we had land here and we built a house from the ground up. One of the guys hired some kids that he knew to dig like a trench line for a water pipe. And so I was talking to the guys like, so what do you pay people? And he's like, oh, they'll make 350 baht a day, like $10 US, and they're like digging like crazy in plus 35-degree weather, right? So um, it is pretty disgusting, that wage gap, because you'll have people making that, and then you have people like you said living in $5 million penthouses, driving Lamborghinis, going to Michelin stars, and asking $10,000 for a Nirvana long sleeve.
Yeah, totally. It's wild, and it makes me kind of think about the like I'm not saying there's a right or wrong here. The way Thailand is very interesting to me. The way Canada is interesting. Canada's kind of fucked right now, and I'm not saying that like the wage gap should be as big as Thailand, but it it just kind of shows you that like what we're doing here in Canada isn't really working, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not as, maybe it's not enough of a gap. I don't want to be insensitive there, but like maybe it's not enough of a gap where like nobody can live now affordably, right? So there's got to be somewhere in the middle that works, because it's like, yeah, you don't want people making $10 a day, but like look at what it's created in that country for like I don't know. It's just it's very interesting, an economic study of like how that works and how ours is working, and how like we're gonna all be in poverty here soon because of the cost of living.
Well, that's the thing. Even being so, we would frequent. So you were asking about how do we make this work sometime with jobs. I'm just going to jump back really quick.
Yeah.
So we would go travel for a year, go back to Saskatchewan, and I would always go to the same construction company because they're like, whenever you come back, we'll hire you. I was a head pipe player for this company, so they would always hire me back. Giselle always could go to the same bar all the time. Like anytime you're back in Saskatoon, just drop by. You have a job. So we would do that, and even the way like the prices in Saskatoon, which I mean, I'm biased, right? I hate Saskatchewan. I think it's a hellhole. But the thing is, the way like how much it costs to live there is so unaffordable as well, and that's Saskatchewan, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you take a more desirable city like Calgary or Vancouver, or even just parts of BC, Kelowna, Chilliwack, like all these like gorgeous places, it's even harder to live in those places if you are there's no you can make like you're making money and you're just surviving, like that's it, right? There's no quality of life, and I feel like in a lot of Canada that's gone downhill a lot, pretty much a lot of the world. Quality of life has gone downhill.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting. So like some level of wage gap there creates affordability, and it's also like if the guy making $10 an hour or a day, right, or the person making $10 a day can still afford to live like somewhat of a life, it's like that's not a bad thing, and that's something that I think people miss a lot when they look at other countries' wages, right? Now it's relative to the quality of life and what it costs to have a certain quality of life. Right? Because it's like you can't be like, well, if $18 an hour here is the minimum wage, they should be making $18 an hour minimum wage. Well, it's like, no, if they made $18 an hour, they'd be fucking living in the penthouse there, right? Like
everything would collapse.
Exactly. So if they can live the same quality of life for the $10 a day, I'm not saying that works out, but I'm just saying you have to look at like what quality of life they have for their minimums versus like what we have for our minimums.
Well, yeah, because I mean, for example, sorry. Yeah. So for example, Drew, yesterday I went out, I had to buy bus tickets because I'm going to Bangkok, or train tickets because I'm going to Bangkok next week. And I just stopped by a little restaurant and got, a plate of veg fried rice with morning glory and another plate of just kale and tofu. And it cost me 40 baht a plate, which is $1.50. $1.50 a plate. And they're decent sized plates, right? Like they're good helping. So that's the thing. It's like that's where a lot of this comes from. That's you make 350 baht, but at the same time, it only costs you 40 baht to eat a meal.
Yeah.
Right?
See, there it is, right there. This guy makes $10 an hour, using that example again, or $10 a day. $10 a day. $10 a day, but his meal is $1.50 for the lunch, right? That becomes 15% of your daily take for your lunch. Now, the way it's gone here is like you could make, say, $100 an hour, $100 a day, or like 100. I guess it would be like if you had an 8-hour shift, sure, $150 or something, right? Maybe 140 bucks. But like your lunch is going to be like $25. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you go to Subway. You go to Subway and it's like $18.
Yeah, so it's not that different in the percentage of the wage for the lunch, right? And that's comparable.
Yeah. So like that's the thing, it's just different costs of everything out here compared to Canada. Like when I go back to Canada, it's like, oh, I want to buy apples in Canada. I'm like, nope, can't do it. Like that bag of apples is $12. Like that's crazy.
Oh man. So yeah, hopefully we didn't bore the listeners with this economic talk. My brain goes to weird places sometimes, but I think it's very interesting. Basically, moral of the story, you can fucking live in Thailand for really affordable, and fuck Canada and the US right now. Let's get back to vintage. So we want to like learn more about the vintage scene there as a whole. We've talked about how like there's collectors there. A lot of big money shirts have been going there for years. I think it's their scene there is like broadened out. I know there's massive distribution there for the rest of Asia too, and Japan. Like I know a lot of Japanese go and buy a lot there.
Yeah.
Do you know this company G Rags?
Of course I do.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know of them. So they bought the Durango Levi's this year, the $100,000 pair of Levi's.
Oh, seriously?
Just yeah, and I guess he's a huge player. G-Rags is like a big
Massive,
player in the scene, and
massive.
like not just from a Thailand perspective, from a global perspective.
Yes.
So he bought the $100,000 jeans from Durango. So they actually went to Thailand from America, and I guess they're looking to open up a museum. Just kind of speaks on like the level of scene there, community there, what's happening there. So kind of give us the broader spectrum, the scene, like how you get stuff. Because I saw even today on your story, you're shopping the markets, but there's also stores you can buy from. Like
Yeah.
where's the stuff coming from? Where's everyone getting this stuff? Why is there so much American rag in Thailand?
Perfect. I really wanted to talk about this. So this is so for the years that I've been here, I've really like studied a lot of this and studied the way that these trades happen and the way that these movements happen. So we all know that America and North America send out thousands and millions of tons of clothing every year. They go to distribution centers, Guatemala, Nigeria, India. The one that funnels Thailand is Pakistan. So a lot of the stuff from North America head to Karachi in Pakistan, and there are like Drew, there are massive warehouses there. And I have buddies in Pakistan, and I've done video calls with them. They're like, "My friend, what are you looking for?" And it's just this football field size warehouse of just vintage white T-shirts. And I'm like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "Yeah, hold on." And he'll run across the road to another one. It's like all black T-shirts, and he'll just show me. He's like, "Is there anything you're looking for?" And then down the street, it's all colored T-shirts. And then there's one with jeans, and there's one with shoes. So what happens is you'll have
Yeah,
a
and
lot of
sometimes I've seen some of them. They're like half dilapidated buildings that are like gnarly looking, and you're like,
and they
Jesus.
just have these piles of shirts.
Yeah, piles. Yeah,
So basically what happens is Pakistan is what funnels Southeast Asia. It's what like fuels Southeast Asia. That's where we get all our stuff from. A lot of Thai sellers will go to Pakistan, buy 400-500 pounds and bring it back here, and then open bales and distribute it. Now, Giselle and I were supposed to
so
go
they'll
to.
they'll actually go. They'll actually go and do the hand picking themselves in Pakistan.
Yes, yeah, and so that was
Okay.
that was the next step that Giselle and I were going to do. We were going to do it that this year. We were going to head to Karachi this year. We have connections there. We were going to go, and the guy was just going to show us all of these warehouses, and we would just pick. We kind of pushed it off until we're probably going to do it next year. But so what happens is now there's just shipping containers. Shipping containers make its way to like the southern Thailand, to some of the provinces down south. And I've been invited to go, and I think I'm going next week or next month with one of my connections here. And it's literally like they come right off the boat and they'll crack it open. They'll take it to I guess a market, crack open the shipping container, and it's just thousands of vintage T-shirts. And then basically you have first picks. Like there's guys who will pay top dollar. They have first picks to go in there, and then they just throw bales out, and people just buy the bales. And then from there, that goes everywhere in Thailand. They can head to northern Chiang Rai, Chiang Mai, Isan, Kanchanaburi, Bangkok. So that's pretty much how stuff gets here. Now, a lot of the Japanese dudes, sorry,
Yeah,
a lot of the Japanese dudes have now decided to cut out Bangkok and cut out Thailand. So they're going directly to Pakistan now. And so that was our next
for
move as
sure.
well. Like, Giselle, we should go to Pakistan and we should just like cut this off here and then go buy from Pakistan and see how it goes. And if not, we could still create a really cool video of us showing like another side of the whole vintage market out here.
So how do you feel? I mean, you're well traveled, so you're probably more comfortable than a lot of people. But how do you feel about white man travel in Pakistan?
So I think it depends on how you are, right? Like if you travel the world and you go anywhere and you are that white man where you're that loud, abrasive, like fucking give me this, give me that. But I think so for us, wherever we travel, we learn the customs, we learn the culture, and like we were gonna get I forget what they're called, but like traditional Pakistani outfits made, and that's how we would travel within the country. So for me, when we've been invited to come to Pakistan and pick there. So that's a lot different than, us just showing up and be like, okay, we want to take over this now. So for me, being invited is like the first huge key to to go there and explore.
Yeah. I've heard some, not horror stories, but I've heard it's pretty rough. Like it's not like going to Thailand is not like going to Pakistan.
No, two
Um,
two different places.
and Karachi is like the down and out of Pakistan, from
Yes,
what I've understood. So you're
yes,
going to like the hood of Pakistan,
yeah. You're going to the down and out.
a very and that's very impoverished place on earth, right? So it's that and that's why it's remained sort of not untouched. Obviously, it's touched, but it's remained like um, exclusive to a degree
Yeah, like
because
not
not a lot of
taken
people are
over.
willing to go there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, most people shit, even when we told people like, oh yeah, we're gonna backpack through all of Central America, people are just like, oh shit, dude, be careful. And I'd be like, I'm not worried, right? Like, I think that's one thing I've learned from traveling is like, if you come off like you have confidence, like you're not cocky, but you have confidence, like you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, man. Like even here, just
Yeah,
walking around and acting like you know what you're doing, you don't get hassled as much. People aren't going to try to scam you if you're just like, dude, I'm good. I live here. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. Guys will leave you alone, right? So I think that would kind of also play in Pakistan as well if you just played with that
yeah.
confidence.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Sorry we had to cut it short on you. Once again, that is the free 45-minute version of the episode. What you want to do to continue listening to me and Cody ramble on about the deep, dark, secret underbelly of the Southeast Asia vintage community, you want to join the YouTube channel right here down below. Click the link down below that says join, or you want to click in the show notes the link to the Patreon. There, you will get your 1 week free trial, and you can finish this episode, plus all the other 2+ hour episodes that are housed there. Okay? Then after the free trial, it's only $5 a month. Is $5 a month enough? Or is $5 a month too much to continue your vintage education, to continue learning about the scene in Southeast Asia, to continue listening to all the episodes and learning about the vintage scenes worldwide and about how people run their business, how people buy vintage, how people sell vintage? Um, if you ask me, I think no. I think that's pretty damn affordable. $5 a month. It helps me pay the editor. It helps me make a few bucks by doing this podcast, and helps me keep it going. I sincerely appreciate everyone for tuning in, whether you jump on the Patreon or not. Thank you for partaking in this episode, whether you listen to it here on YouTube or on iTunes or wherever else you grabbed your podcasts. Man, I'm tired. It's been a long one. If you want to help in other ways, you can go shop fsandfrankvintage.com with code VTG and stuff. Grab yourself 30% off, and you can just share this with your friends. Please share the episode on Instagram. Share the episodes on Facebook. Share the episodes wherever you share anything. Tell a friend to tune in to the Vintage and Stuff podcast because we appreciate it. Always growing, always learning, always happy to educate. That's it. That's all I got. Love you all. Be happy, not crappy. Chat soon.